Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We tell real American true crime stories based on real events. Stories that reveal how danger can hide in quiet neighborhoods, behind familiar doors, and next door to people who never saw it coming. If you want more true crime documentaries like this one, subscribe now and turn on notifications. New stories are coming, and you won't want to miss the next case. It was the scream that never came that changed everything. In the dark silence of a quiet American neighborhood, a man stood inside a child's bedroom. Just feet away, her parents slept, her siblings slept. The house was still. No alarms, no broken doors, no warning. And then, in one terrifying moment, a young girl was lifted from her bed and led into the night. By the time anyone realized she was gone, she was already disappearing into the shadows of the very neighborhood that was supposed to protect her. And no one next door had any idea. What happened in that house would become one of the most disturbing abduction cases in American history. A crime that proved something horrifying. You do not have to leave home to be taken. Sometimes, danger is already inside. But before the search, before the headlines, before the entire country learned her name, it all came down to a single night and a single open window. And what happened next would shock the nation. Hours earlier, the neighborhood looked like any other in suburban Utah. Clean sidewalks, quiet streets, neighbors who waved and smiled, houses close enough to hear a dog bark or a car door shut. This was the kind of place parents trusted, the kind of place where children felt safe. Inside one of those homes lived Elizabeth Smart. Elizabeth was a normal teenager. She loved music, she played the harp, she was close to her family. That night, nothing felt strange, nothing felt wrong. It was just another evening, dinner, homework, bedtime. Her parents locked the doors, the lights went out, the house went quiet. But someone was watching. Outside, a man moved through the darkness with purpose. He had been in the neighborhood before. He knew the layout, he knew the family. He knew which window was easiest to reach. This was not random. Sometime after midnight, the man slipped into the house through an open window. No glass shattered, no forced entry, just silence. The kind of silence that hides terrible things. He carried a knife. He moved slowly, step by step, careful not to wake anyone. The hallway creaked beneath his feet, but the house stayed asleep. Then he entered Elizabeth's bedroom. She woke to see a stranger standing over her. Before she could scream, before she could move, the knife was there. The threat was clear. If she made a sound, her family would be hurt. Elizabeth later said the fear froze her body. She did exactly what she was told, quietly, slowly, in shock. The man led her past her sleeping sister, past her parents' bedroom, past the front door, and just like that, she was gone. No one heard a thing. Morning came like it always did. Elizabeth's mother walked down the hallway to wake her daughters. One bed was empty. At first, she thought Elizabeth had gone to another room. Maybe she woke early. Maybe she was practicing music. Then she saw the open window. That was when panic hit. Elizabeth's family searched the house. They shouted her name. They ran outside. They checked the yard, the street, the neighbors' homes. Elizabeth was nowhere. Police were called immediately. Within minutes, patrol cars filled the street. Officers searched the house, the window, the yard. They found footprints in the snow leading away from the home. This was no runaway. This was an abduction. Word spread fast. Neighbors poured outside in their pajamas. Parents clutched their children. Volunteers began searching backyards, sheds, and nearby fields. The search grew massive. Helicopters flew overhead. Police dogs followed scent trails. Hundreds of people joined in.
This was one of the largest neighborhood searches the area had ever seen, and still, there was no sign of Elizabeth. As hours turned into days, fear gripped the community. If a child could be taken from her own bedroom, what did that mean for everyone else? Parents slept in shifts, windows were locked tight. People who had lived there for years suddenly felt unsafe in their own homes. Police questioned neighbors, they checked known offenders, they followed every lead. One name came up early, a man who had worked briefly in the smart home, a man who knew the family, a man who had been seen nearby. His name was Brian David Mitchell, but by the time police went looking for him, he was gone. So was Elizabeth.
Days passed, then weeks, then months. Elizabeth's face was everywhere, on television, on posters, on the news. America watched and hoped. Her family refused to give up. They spoke to the media. They begged for help. They believed she was alive. But with no ransom demand, no phone calls, no confirmed sightings, the case grew colder. Until something unexpected happened. 9 months after Elizabeth vanished, a stranger was spotted walking through a city street. He was wearing robes, his hair was wild, his behavior strange. Beside him was a young girl. Someone recognized her. They called police, and in a moment that stunned the nation, Elizabeth Smart was found alive. But what she had endured during those months would leave the country speechless. And the man who took her had been hiding in plain sight the entire time, just like he had that night. This was not a crime that happened in an alley or a dark road. This was a child taken next door, from her bed, while everyone slept. And what happened after her rescue would raise even more disturbing questions about how close danger can be, because the nightmare was not over yet. Stay with me. In the next chapter, we uncover where Elizabeth was taken, how she survived, and how the man who kidnapped her almost got away forever. Elizabeth was alive. That single fact sent shockwaves across America. 9 months after she vanished from her bedroom, police officers stood face to face with the girl everyone thought they might never see again. She looked thin, older, changed. Her eyes carried fear and exhaustion far beyond her years. Standing beside her was the man who had taken her. For months, he had walked freely through cities, parks, and streets, with Elizabeth just steps away from him. People had passed them, police had passed them, and no one realized the truth. The nightmare had been hiding in plain sight. But what Elizabeth had survived during those 9 months was far darker than anyone imagined. And it all began the moment she was led away from her home into the cold night. After leaving the house, the man forced Elizabeth to walk through backyards and side streets. He warned her again and again, if she screamed, her family would die. If she tried to run, he would kill her. Fear controlled every step she took. They walked for hours. Her legs burned. Her feet went numb. The cold cut through her thin clothes. Still, she kept going. She believed him. She believed her family's lives depended on her silence. By morning, they reached a remote area in the mountains. That was where Elizabeth realized something terrifying. This was not going to end quickly. The man, Brian David Mitchell, believed he was on a mission from God. He spoke in strange ways. He made rules that changed without warning. He controlled what Elizabeth ate, where she slept, and when she was allowed to speak. He told her she was no longer Elizabeth. He gave her a new name, and he told her she belonged to him now. Life in captivity was slow, frightening, and unpredictable. Elizabeth lived in tents, camps, and hidden places, sometimes deep in the woods, sometimes closer to town than anyone would expect. She was forced to dress in robes that hid her face and body. Mitchell kept her under constant watch. He used fear as a weapon. He told her that police were hunting him and that if she tried to escape, both of them would be killed. He said her family had moved on, that no one was looking anymore. None of it was true. But Elizabeth did not know that. Days blended together. Hunger became normal. Silence became survival. She learned when to speak and when to stay quiet. She learned how to read his moods. Every day was about staying alive. Meanwhile, back home, the search never truly stopped.
Elizabeth's family refused to believe she was gone forever. Her sister, who had slept beside her the night she was taken, carried guilt and pain every day. Her parents spoke out again and again, keeping Elizabeth's face in the public eye. Police continued to investigate Brian David Mitchell, but there was a problem. He lived on the edges of society. No steady job, no permanent home. He moved often, and he did not look like the kind of man people expected. He blended in because no one wanted to look too closely. Then came the sightings. People across Utah and nearby states reported seeing a strange man in robes with a young girl. Some thought it was a religious group. Others felt uneasy but said nothing. One police officer even stopped Mitchell early on. Elizabeth was right there, but she said nothing. Fear sealed her lips. That moment would later haunt investigators. She had been found and then lost again. Months passed. Elizabeth grew weaker. Winter turned into spring, spring into summer. Still, she survived. Not because she was strong, but because she adapted. She watched, she waited, she listened. And slowly, something changed. Mitchell became careless. He began taking Elizabeth into public places more often, streets, stores, parks. He believed his disguise and control were enough. That belief would be his mistake. One afternoon in June, a couple noticed something strange. A man walking with a young girl. The way he spoke to her, the way she avoided eye contact, the way she stayed close, but not by choice. The couple recognized her face from the news. They did not hesitate. They called police. When officers arrived, Mitchell tried to lie. He claimed Elizabeth was his daughter. He spoke confidently, calmly. But Elizabeth finally did something she had not done in 9 months. She spoke. And with those words, the lie collapsed. Mitchell was arrested on the spot. Elizabeth was rescued. But rescue did not mean the nightmare was over. As the truth came out, the nation learned just how close the danger had been, how many chances there were to stop it sooner, how easily an abduction could hide inside a normal neighborhood. And then came the court case. The trial forced Elizabeth to relive every moment, to speak about things no child should ever experience. Cameras followed every step. The public watched closely. Mitchell showed no remorse. He claimed innocence. He claimed religion. He claimed the law did not apply to him. But the evidence was overwhelming. Elizabeth Smart had survived, and she was ready to face the man who took her. Yet even as the trial unfolded, one question remained. How did someone like Brian David Mitchell walk into a home, take a child, and almost disappear forever? And could it happen again? Because if danger could live next door once, it could do it again. And that question would change how America thought about safety forever. In the next chapter, we confront the courtroom battle, the psychological scars, and the lasting impact of a crime that proved nowhere is truly untouchable. The courtroom was silent when Elizabeth walked in. Every eye followed her. Reporters, jurors, strangers, people who had only known her as a face on a missing poster were now seeing her in person. She was no longer the girl taken from her bedroom. She was a survivor. And the man who kidnapped her was sitting just a few feet away. Brian David Mitchell did not look at her. He stared forward, calm, almost bored, as if this trial was a minor inconvenience. But everyone in that room knew the truth. This was the moment he would finally be forced to face what he had done. And Elizabeth was about to speak. When Elizabeth took the stand, her voice was steady, but the weight of her words filled the room. She spoke about the night she was taken, the knife,
The threats, the fear that kept her silent as she walked past her sleeping family. She described the months in captivity, the hunger, the control, the lies. She explained how Mitchell used fear to trap her, how he convinced her that escape meant death for her family, how he stripped away her identity and tried to replace it with obedience. The courtroom listened in stunned silence. This was not just a crime story anymore. This was proof of how deep and damaging control can be. Mitchell's defense tried to shift the focus. They claimed he was mentally unfit to stand trial. They argued that his beliefs made him incapable of understanding right from wrong. The case was delayed again and again as doctors evaluated him. For years, justice seemed stuck. Elizabeth waited. So did the nation. Many feared that Mitchell would never be fully held responsible, that the system would fail her after everything she survived. But prosecutors did not back down. They showed evidence, witnesses, recordings, Elizabeth's testimony. They proved that Mitchell planned the abduction, that he hid Elizabeth, that he knew exactly what he was doing. This was not confusion. This was control.
In 2011, nearly 9 years after the kidnapping, the verdict finally came. Guilty. Brian David Mitchell was convicted on multiple charges, including aggravated kidnapping and sexual assault. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Elizabeth was free. Not just physically, but legally. The man who took her would never walk free again. Yet even after the trial ended, the story did not stop. Elizabeth spoke publicly about her experience, not because she had to, but because she wanted others to understand something important. Abductions do not always happen in dark alleys. Sometimes they happen next door. Sometimes they happen in quiet homes, in safe neighborhoods, in the middle of the night, while everyone sleeps. Her case changed how America talked about child safety. Parents locked windows they had never worried about before. Police departments updated training. Communities became more alert. People learned a hard truth. Familiar does not always mean safe. Elizabeth also spoke about survival. She explained how staying calm saved her life, how small choices mattered, how hope did not disappear even when everything felt lost. Her strength inspired thousands, but she never let people forget the fear, because fear is real, and ignoring it can be dangerous. Today, the neighborhood where Elizabeth was taken looks normal again. The houses are still close together, children still ride bikes down the street, families still sleep behind locked doors. But something has changed. People pay attention now. They look twice, they listen, because they know what happened once can happen again. This story is not just about one girl. It is about how close danger can be. It is about how quickly safety can vanish. It is about a crime that began in silence and ended in a courtroom, but left a permanent mark on the nation. A child was kidnapped next door, and America learned that night that even the safest places can hide the darkest threats. The house still stands. From the outside, it looks like any other home in America. White walls, quiet street, neighbors living their lives just feet away. If you drove past it today, you would never know what happened inside that bedroom in the middle of the night. But for the people who lived there, and for millions who followed the case, that house will always carry a shadow. Because once a child is kidnapped next door, nothing ever feels the same again. After the trial ended and Brian David Mitchell was sent to prison for life, many people expected the story to finally be over. Justice had been served, the criminal was locked away, the survivor was free. But real crime stories do not end neatly. Elizabeth Smart returned to a world that had changed forever. She was older, stronger, but also carrying memories that could never be erased. Every sound at night, every unexpected movement, every unfamiliar face still carried fear.
Healing did not happen overnight. Some days were calm, other days were overwhelming, and that's something many people never talk about. Surviving a crime does not mean the pain disappears. It means learning how to live with it. Elizabeth chose to speak, not to relive the horror, but to take control of the story. She talked about what helped her survive. She talked about how fear works, how silence can be forced, how victims are not weak for doing what they must to stay alive. Her voice changed how people understood abduction. Law enforcement also took lessons from the case. Officers looked back at the moments where Elizabeth was close to being rescued sooner. The stop where police spoke to Mitchell while Elizabeth stood beside him. The missed signs, the hesitation. Training changed. Police were taught to trust their instincts, to look closer, to question situations that did not feel right, even if nothing obvious seemed wrong. Communities were also affected. Parents began checking windows before bed. Locks were upgraded. Neighborhood watch programs grew. People paid attention to unfamiliar faces, even in familiar places. The idea that danger only comes from far away was shattered. This crime proved something terrifying. Sometimes danger lives close enough to walk. What makes this story so disturbing is not just what happened to Elizabeth, it is how easily it happened. No broken door.
No loud struggle, no alarm. Just a man who knew the neighborhood, who knew the family, who waited for the right moment. That is what makes Kidnapped Next Door so frightening. It is not about chaos, it is about quiet. It is about the moments when everyone feels safe enough to sleep. Across the United States, similar cases exist. Children taken from homes, from yards, from quiet streets where nothing bad was supposed to happen. Each case different, each case sharing one truth. Familiar places can still hide danger. And that is why these stories matter. Not to scare, but to remind. Awareness saves lives. Attention matters. And speaking up, even when something only feels slightly wrong, can change everything. Elizabeth Smart did not let her story end with fear. She turned survival into purpose. But she never claimed to be fearless, because fear is not weakness, fear is a warning. And on that night, in that quiet neighborhood, fear arrived too late. Today, the neighborhood has new families, new children, new routines. Life moves forward as it always does. But somewhere, a parent still checks a window one extra time before bed. Somewhere, a neighbor watches a little closer. Somewhere, someone remembers Elizabeth Smart and remembers that the most dangerous crimes are not always loud. Sometimes they happen next door, in the dark, while everyone sleeps. This is where this story ends, but the lesson does not. Because as long as neighborhoods exist, and as long as people believe nothing like that could happen here, these stories will keep repeating. Stay aware, stay alert, and never forget how close danger can be. Because the next true crime story may already be unfolding on a quiet street just like yours. If this story stayed with you, there's a reason. We tell real American true crime stories not just to shock, but to reveal how close danger can be and how quickly normal life can change. If you want more true crime documentaries based on real events, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every story here is real, and every case matters. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, stay safe.